user has an ACH batch collection limit of 999,000. I have an ACH pass-through limit of 99,000. You can see these as we work our way through. So there's an approval limit on a per transaction, a per day, a per month, and a per count. And then there's some draft actions, maximums that we can do in a given month. So there's this list of controls. And then I could take these controls, and let's say I'm going to come down to the domestic wire area, and I'm going to eliminate those additional transaction limits. So right now, there are no limits beyond what somebody has placed on my company. My company has a wire domestic limit, but I, as the owner of the company, want to constrain that just a little bit more because we're sending wires out in different patterns. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create an allowed action, and I see a set of controls here that I can manipulate. This is for my company globally for wires. So I might start with, I'm going to allow a wire of any amount all the way up to my corporate limit to be created. And for those, I'm going to require 2 approvals. So you can go clear to 5 approvals, but we're going to go to 2. And for those, I'm going to allow that to come out of my checking account groups. I don't want it to come out of savings shares. And I only want those to be through my subsidiary A company. Further, I only want those to be drafted during the hours of the week that we're open. So that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And you see a graphic representation starting to form of when somebody can execute a wire. I'm going to remove the ability to draft those during the early morning hours when folks from Eastern Europe might be hard at work. And I'll eliminate the evening hours so that I now have a pool of hours Monday through Friday between 8 and 5 p.m. the wires can be originated. And because we close early on Wednesdays, I'm going to remove 4 and 5, the 4 o'clock hour and the 5 o'clock hour. So that sets a set of limits around when wires can be executed. And then I may further constrain that to, I just want that in the United States, so US only, or I can constrain that to a specific IP address. If I know my IP address is for my network, I would include those and add those as I needed to, such that wires are now very firmly locked down from my environment during my hours. And just give some thought to this. As you start to lock this down, it's very easy to feel very good about our security. And then 8 months from now, when you haven't thought about that, you go to Canada and you're sitting at a lake in Canada when somebody needs you to approve a wire, and you can't do that because you've locked yourself out. Just keep in mind that we can really turn the screws down on this, but we're essentially giving you guys control over how you want to run your business. So this is done. We feel good about this initial cut, any draft amount, 2 approvals through all of these constraints. Now, I feel fine with somebody submitting, and these aren't realistic values. I just have very small limits on this account. But a wire transfer for $500, I feel would be fine with a single approval. And those can come from any of my checking accounts. And I don't mind, those can come from either of our subsidiaries. And I still want those constrained to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I'm not, just for sake of time, I'm not going to click all of these, but you get the picture. We can constrain those to the draft hours, the location. I might do a $500 one when I travel internationally, so I'm going to leave that open to everywhere, and I'm going to approve that. So now we have created a set of rules that allows one person to draft a domestic wire up to $500 through these 2 subsidiaries, and we can, visually follow that set of references across. And then from $501 up to our draft limits that are set to us on by the credit union, those require 2 approvals. And then subsidiary A is the only one, and checking account A is the only one, all the way through the rest of those. So you can start to play with the limits and rights. This is what corporate banking brings to the table, particularly as you start to add more employees, more departments, more of those kinds of things. You can start to play in these areas to allow those or disallow those constraints. In this area, we're seeing the features that have been made available to our company, and we see the accounts that we have and what those, from a corporate level, what the view, deposit, withdrawal rights look like. And then, interesting, I was about to change and go to another area and it's warning me, hey, you didn't save your policy. All that work you just did is going to be lost. Do you want to lose it or do you want to save it? I would go back and I would save that because that's a real workflow. I get buried in the system. I start doing all this work. Somebody comes in and asks me a question. I change gears. I don't want to lose whatever it was that I was doing. So that policy is saved. Now, let's take it down one more click. We have this notion of user roles in the system. Not every business has multiple roles, but this system allows you to grow into those. In fact, when we migrate the data over, many times the user roles are just migrated over as individual names. If Mike, Mary, and Nancy all work at your company, the roles are going to be Mike, Mary, and Nancy. But know that you can begin as you start to scale, or if you have a business that requires it, you can create user roles, and the system comes with a pre-built set of 7, including admin. And this one, in this case, we only have payroll clerk. But you can take one of these existing roles and you can copy that role. And then you can start, in this case, we've copied an admin role, so we'd probably want to detune that. So we would make this be, and it can be anything that's suitable for your business. And now we would take for this individual role, maybe an approver would have access to ACH collections batches. They're not going to do stop payments at all. That's not something they do. So we're going to disable that particular access and save it. And then for this particular role, I can go back to any of those other GT types that are out there. We'll wait for this to save. Forgive the little spinny thing here. There we go. And then for an ACH collection batch, for an approver, maybe this is an approver level 1, we're going to go ahead and on operations, we can start to drill in and restrict what they can and can't do. They can draft transactions, they can approve transactions, and they can cancel transactions. If this was a junior employee, perhaps I want to draft restrict them, which means they can only operate off an existing template. They can't go create a new template because I feel like that's a security risk. And they can't approve. They can cancel if they make a mistake in their work. And then the amount is fine up to $15,000. And they can operate out of not the checking group, but they can operate only out of this individual checking account. And they can only work for sub A and draft hours we've seen. So what we've now done is we have created a role wherein we have started to address some of the things that particular role can do. Furthermore, I can go change their rights. Can this role view online activity for every transaction? Or should I change that they can only view their own transactions, or they can only view transactions by others that are in this role, or they can't view any transactions at all? That probably doesn't make sense. But they can, you know, these are the selections that are available for those folks. And then of course, we can do approval limits. So one side kind of restricted what they could draft. This would restrict what they can approve. And you can go in and your per transaction amounts might only be 15,000, same as what we drafted, and you can work your way through that as well. So you can also extend or remove features from these folks. You can give them manage template rights or not, manage user rights or not, manage company policy or not. And then finally, we can restrict their individual use of accounts. So if this individual should not have access, they can view the checking account and they can deposit into the checking account, but they cannot do anything that's withdrawal. I'll remove that. And I don't want them to see this account at all. That would restrict no regular share savings and limited access to the checking account, and I would save that. So you can start to build out your individual roles as appropriate to the line of business that you would like them to work in. Not for everyone and not for every small business. We don't want to overcomplicate our lives, but these are the kinds of things that the system will allow you to grow into. Or if you're a property management company or something like that, you can use bits and pieces of these kinds of areas of the software to grow the business exactly as you would like it to. So that's user roles. And then from this point, we could go in and we can add a new user. If we spent the time to build out those roles, I can go add a user. add their first name, last name, email address, their login, and then assign them to one of those existing roles, and we're done. You can build out your employee base, assigning them wherever they need to, and then you can simply take users in and out rather than adding a user and having to go build out all of those rights and privileges. Again, every page has the tile versus the list, and that would cover our ability to add users to the user roles, our ability to go look at our major company policy and then tune underneath of it by the user role. We looked at payments, we looked at recipients, we looked at subsidiaries very, very briefly, tax payments, ACH pass-through, and of course, remote deposit allows you to do your remote deposit. It's a link out to another system. But that soundly rounds out some of the commercial functions that you can allow your employees to participate in. I won't touch on branches. That's pretty self-evident to go and find branches, particularly useful for a mobile device. But I do want to take a moment just to talk about some of the reporting that's available as well. We've gone through all these throws to create this business process, and now we can go report upon it. When I select a reporting area, the reports show themselves here in the middle, any that I have already scheduled, but the list of reports is over here to the right. And so we see a company entitlement, which would show whatever entitlements our folks have. A cash position report is always a very interesting report that people seem to like. So the report name is, you can change that name or you can take it as it is. The default output is going to be PDF. Some of these reports have multiple outputs. You can choose PDF, you can choose BAI, you can choose Excel. In this case, we want to select maybe, it's a cash position report. I probably want to select all of my shares and all of my checking accounts. And then I can schedule that. Is that something that never runs? I run it on demand. Do I run it daily? Do I run it weekly? Whatever the frequency is. And then I have the option to save and run. So it'll save the report for future use, and in this case, run every single day. Or I can simply save it, and then it'll kick off and be scheduled at the next scheduled run for this particular report. And so as a result of that, now I have a couple of cash position reports that are out there ready to run. I have ACH activity reports. All of these things, factor reports, can be scheduled. They can be run one-off. They can be run on a cycling scheduler all the way through. So individual transactions, outgoing wires, there's a variety of reports that are interesting. And we're trying to put some of that back into your hands without having to meticulously grind through Excel outputs of your individual transactions per account. This starts to combine some of that look and feel and better allow you to run your business. I know that's a lot of talking. We didn't get the luxury of visiting with you and seeing your faces and having people raise their hands. I'm not even sure that folks can communicate with us other than through the chat. But we did want to spend a little bit of time and show you what's coming. We're very excited by what this brings to not only you, but to us as we help grow your businesses together. I will ask if there's any questions. I'm not sure that you can answer those questions or ask them through the phone. You're welcome to chat us through the private chat if you want, or we can schedule one-on-one time to call you directly at your place of business as you start to log in and make sure that these things are present for you and step you through those first fledgling steps of using the new system. There is an opportunity to be an early adopter in terms of this. The general rollout is coming in early June, but we're working hard right now to make sure everyone's migrated, and there is an opportunity to go ahead and reach out to your credit union representative, and we'll send you an email with the content and link and a way to get in, and then we're happy to schedule a visit with you if it's a phone, help you log in for the first time and see your migrated account, see your migrated ACH activity, and kind of step you through those first fledgling transactions. But we really appreciate your membership, and we hope that you're excited by some of this new technology that's coming. Any questions? Sergio, I'm not sure if you had any questions or comments.
No, at this point, I thank you, Hannah. Just to reiterate, those members that would need to have additional information, feel free to contact us directly. You can always reach us at our 301-944-1800 or send your request to our MAFCU at mafcu.org. And we'll be reaching out to you guys to provide additional information. Just be aware that we are posting a lot of tutorials, video tutorials and e-guides on our website. So so you can have a better in-depth look at all the different features that this new solution will provide to you, both on the retail as well as the business side of the business. So we're very excited, like Hunter said, about unveiling this product on Wednesday, June 7th. So between now and then, just direct any questions to us, and we'll be more than happy to provide all the information you need between now and then. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day, and we appreciate you attending today.